Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, obviously against Baltimore, there were some special teams errors or some issues. What went into Harrison Butker's issues, especially coming off of the excellent Week 2 performance?
Aren't you the one to call me a guru last week?
Yes, I did. Did I jinx you?
I guess so, but this is pro football. Things happen. But go ahead, one more time with the crowd. I was trying to remember if you said it or not. Go ahead. Could you ask me that question again, please? About Butker.
Okay, being the guru you are, what steps did you take to fix the issues from last week, especially Harrison Butker coming off of that Week 2 phenomenal performance?
Really, there's not a lot to fix. I think he just came into the game. He was really pumped up for the game, no matter what. I mean, it was, Tucker. Anytime he goes against Tucker, it's a big, he wants to do so well. He put a little bit too much pressure on it. He was all fired up, kind of pulled the kick that he missed, the first extra point, kind of pulled it to the left a little bit, and then he came back and he made 3 extra points, I think it was, and then and then the next field goal, the very next field goal, same thing. So. I think it was more of a mental thing than anything. We talked about it. He's going to be fine. We practiced, we kicked today, and he's going to be all right. I'm not worried about him going forward for sure.
Let's go next to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
Coach, I know you're used to the roster having to move it around, you more than anybody, right? But you guys, not only have you had injuries, we talked about this with Coach about on the defensive side, you've had injuries you knew going into the game, but it seems like every game you got guys going down. How much of a scramble was that in this one, Snead going down? So guys, that definitely had to affect your units.
It affects us a little bit. Obviously, like I said before, Veach did a good job. We got good depth. We got guys that can come in there and we feel good about playing. A guy like Wiley goes down. He's on your field goal unit. All of a sudden, he's not going. Now you have to go with a backup. Those things happen. You get an injury. It's just part of what we do. And you try to think of every scenario before the game, and then when it happens, you just make the move that you thought of before the game.
Let's go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Dave. Just wondered, you talked a little bit about the issues with Butker in Baltimore. So what does his week look like? Is it just a normal week for him in that regard, or are you guys going to work on anything in particular this week?
That's a good question because, we had the short week this week. So what we did, we usually kick yesterday for him, in a normal week. So we gave him that day off, and then we're going to kick today, which will be his last day of the week to kick. We just basically took one day off, to make sure he was rested up. It's not like you need to go out and kick more because he missed a couple field goals. It's, you just have to go back and back to fundamentals and we're not hitting a panic button by any means really. And it's just a matter of going out and making sure the guys are fresh again to go on a short week.
Let's go next to Adam O. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Coach. So it looked like from the back angle on that kickoff return by the Ravens, it looked like maybe Darwin Thompson stayed inside. How important is it to make sure the lane discipline stays true this week? We don't want to see, or you don't want to see a big run by the Patriots on a return. How important is that this week, just kind of staying lane discipline?
Yeah, that's very important. But really, when you look at that return, there was 11 guys to blame. Even the kicker. Everybody was to blame. Anytime you get a return for a touchdown against you, there's a lot of blame to go around. It wasn't just, Darwin just happened to be the last man standing right there at the end. But there was a lot of guys that could have made that play. We went over it actually today, and we talked about what each guy could have did different to change the outcome. But it's history. The game, the play, Baltimore, they get a lot of credit. They're a good special teams unit. They did a great job blocking us. And the kid, the rookie, did a nice job with his top end speed, got out and changed some angles, and they made a nice play. This is pro football. Guys are going to make plays, and, we just got to make sure that doesn't happen again. And I think our guys, we have a lot of pride in that room, and I know they're going to bounce back in a big way.
Looks like we've got 3 hands up. We'll go right down the line. Matt, Pete, and then Todd. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach, based on your Mizzou ties alone, you're always going to be a guru, so don't let that get to you. Hey, with Tommy Townsend, now you got a few weeks under his belt and everything. What's kind of your report card on him? Not just punting, but holding as well, and kind of overall impression.
something that's kind of gone unnoticed is his holding. He's doing a really, really good job there. Bucker had obviously the Player of the Week honors last week, and Tommy's out there holding for him every time. So I mean, it's kind of gone unnoticed, but he's doing a great job with the holds. I think him and Bucker getting along great. As far as his punting, we didn't have a lot. We only had one punt, but he punted great. It was a great punt. We need to do a little bit better job with covering it, but I mean, it was a really good punt. So he did his job in that last game. I think every game, every rep, he's getting more and more confidence. He's really going to be a good punter. He's going to be I think he's going to be a great punter, honestly, in this league for years to come.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Good morning, Coach. The move yesterday, you guys brought up Darius Harris. If he is up, what does he offer you guys in special teams?
He's another guy that I was talking about depth-wise. I mean, you could plug him in a linebacker spot, as far as an inside player on punt, a frontline player on kickoff return, a kickoff guy. He could be a four-phase guy for you in a heartbeat, if he's up. I mean, if we need him to be up, I mean, he's on the team. He's on the 53 now. He's a lot closer now to being up. So, he's a guy that we can certainly go to, and he would bring something to the table for us.
Let's go last to Todd Lebo. Go ahead, Todd.
Hey, Coach, one of the ways that you see a lot of fans and people who don't know exactly what's going on in the game, I guess, is just kick it through the end zone. It looks like Harrison can generally do that most of the time. What goes into the discussion on when to try to kick it, to have the returns and stop them, and when to just say, forget about it, let's kick it through the end zone and avoid those situations?
That's a great question, because we do have that ability to be able to do that. And we're fortunate to have that guy. Not every team has it. We do have that. We were kicking to those guys because he was a rookie returner. We didn't know a lot about him. We saw him kind of, early in the, a couple games that they had that he was kind of shuffling his feet. We thought we could get him. But this game humbles you. It humbles you as a coach. It humbles you as a player. And the kid came out and made a nice play. They did a nice job blocking, and they got us. I could have kicked touchbacks the whole game. We could have did that. We didn't. I'm sure going forward, teams aren't going to kick to this guy as much because what he just showed on tape. So that's what you do. You learn. You learn about guys. You learn. When to do it, when not to do it. But we do have the ability. We're fortunate because we got a kicker that can kick the ball high and give us enough hang time to get down there to make a play. It just didn't happen on that certain play.
All good to go. Listen, short week coming off on Monday night, so that's always a challenge. And that's what we're in the middle of. And with that, I'll just open it up.
Let's go first to Sam Mellinger. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Steve. One of the things we hear a lot from the Patriots is just they do something different every week, right, that you've never seen before. I'm wondering, how much do you consider your defense sort of a game plan, a week-to-week unit, and how much do you try and stay true to, certain core beliefs?
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. I think you have to do that in this league. You got to keep people on their toes. Listen, Josh McDaniels is a great coach. I work with him. I had him in St. Louis, so I know how sharp he is. I know that he's looking for a weakness. They're going to attack weaknesses, and they're really good. You bring up a really good point. That's what the Patriots have been doing for years. They'll change. You may be seeing things. We fully expect to see things in the first quarter that we may not have seen, and we got to adjust in the game. I think that. Matt House and Brendan Daly up front certainly do a great job of that. They help me out tremendously during the game, adjusting. So I'll be relying on them against this opponent.
Go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Steve, I wanted to ask you about your safety play. You mentioned in training camp that you need safeties to be obviously multiple. You used 4 last week in Tedrick, Dan, Juan, and Tyron. You guys haven't given up many big plays in the air. How much of that is attributed to your safeties, and just how much does that help the overall unit based on those 4 guys being available?
Well, as you say that, Nate, I'm going to knock on wood. But, because, look, explosive plays are the one thing that really, really hurts you in this league. It's hard enough to defend somebody when you make them drive and make them earn it, but you give up the big plays. Our guys have done a nice job. I think you got to throw the corners in that too. You put the secondary in as a whole. When you start talking about denying explosive plays. And to take it one step further, our up front guys have done a really good job even on some play actions, first and second down, when teams wanted to take a shot, have made the quarterback either tuck it or throw it really quick and check it down. So it's kind of all packaged together. We're fortunate we're in a couple of games here. We haven't given them up, but that's going to be a focus every week. The safeties have been solid, though.
Let's go next to Sam Mcdowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Steve. You guys are going to be tested, obviously, at the cornerback position without L'Jarius, but you guys have been tested all year, really, with your depth there. Can you kind of just assess where you are as a group at the cornerback spot?
Yeah, well, listen, a lot of credit to Sam and Dave Merritt, who work with all those guys. You know, we felt going in, we talked about this as a staff with the whole COVID situation, that we had to have guys always ready to go. And then, you know, we didn't know what was going to happen with what we're dealing with in the world. So the guys, the coaches, have taken that to heart. They've prepared all of these guys, corners, safeties, linebackers, D-line, like they could have to step up and play on a Friday. And listen, we have been bumped and bruised out there at the corner. You know, certainly losing Breezy kind of hurt right from the beginning. But listen, Rashad Fenton has done a great job. L.J. Snead was playing really good football. I feel really terrible for him and deal with that injury, but it's part of the league. And hopefully we can get CW back. You know, I know he's going to have to deal with that hand a little bit, but, you know, they've got to step up. You know, listen, our corners are really needed in the package that we play. And fortunately for us, our D-line has done a decent enough job that it's made it a little bit easier for the corners on the outside.
Go next to Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, good afternoon. To kind of piggyback off of the defensive backs, the Patriots seem to, percentage-wise, are running more out of 11 personnel this year than they did last year. Obviously, with the safety play and the defensive backs, how important is it going to be for them this week, especially knowing you do have mobile Cam Newton back there?
Yeah, well, listen, you throw a quarterback in there that can run it and is willing to run it, like they certainly are with him back there. It's always going to put a stress on the defense. It's going to, you know, if you add another player to just stop the run, he's a good enough quarterback to throw it out there. Josh is smart enough to recognize that. And they got talent on the outside with a couple of receivers that can hurt you. So we're going to have to play that game within the game. We're going to have to mix it up. Hopefully we can get in a situation where, you know, you want to get it one-dimensional, right? That's what every defense tries to do. So be successful on first down, you know, try to do the same on second down and get them in a situation where you know they have to throw it. You know, hopefully when we get in those situations, we can win them.
Let's go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Steve. Chris Jones knocked the ball away from Lamar Jackson a couple times the other night. Was that just a case of him taking advantage of some opportunities that were in front of him there, or was that maybe a point of emphasis with him to maybe not just to maybe work at getting the ball away from the quarterback?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We talked all last week about how do you tackle this guy? You know, we watched a film of ourselves trying to tackle him low, and he was getting away from that. And, you know, he can run away from you if you tackle him high. We did talk about some of the things you just mentioned. I think specifically to Chris's plays. I mean, I think Chris just flat out used his ability to beat a man one-on-one and found his way to number 8 and got his long arms out there and got it knocked down, which was great for us. And now the next quarterback we play is alike in some ways and different in others. I mean, he's a big, strong guy that I'm not so sure you can try to tackle high or, I mean, he gets away from everything. You know, you watch him tuck the ball down and run, he becomes a fullback and not afraid to do that. We emphasized last week getting to the quarterback and trying to get the ball off him, and we'll try to do the same this week if we can.
We've got time for a couple more guys. We'll go Pete Sweeney and then Todd Levo. Go ahead, Pete.
Coach, looking at your schedule, it's kind of unique in the sense that you guys knocked out a lot of these mobile quarterbacks at the beginning, and you just mentioned how Cam is a little bit different. But how much does it help, and I know that Herbert came in, but how much does it help that you've been dealing with this dual threat ability for the beginning of the season going into this game?
That's a great point. If you flipped it around and said that we played, you know, 2-3 drop back quarterbacks, then one of these guys and 2 more drive, that would be a challenge because it's something different. I think it's helped us. I think our guys are a little bit more comfortable in facing these kind of guys because we've seen some really good ones. And you try to simulate that in practice. I thought Jordan did a great job last week helping our guys with that. Yeah, maybe there is something to it. I hope that if that is the case, we play our best football against the 4th one, but we'll see. We'll see.
Let's go last to Todd Levo. Go ahead, Todd.
Hey, Coach, we're going to get to talk to Hitch in a little bit here. He had a really nice game last week. What have you seen from him as he's progressed through the year as a leader for you guys in that linebacking core?
Yeah, the word you just said is the one that sticks out, a leader. He's a silent leader. I think the guys gravitate to Hitch. When Hitch, one of the great indicators of a leader. And I think in this profession is when a player begins to speak or talk, you can recognize that the other guys are listening. He has that. And he doesn't say much, and he doesn't have to, but they trust, the rest of the guys, the other 10, trust that he's going to get them in the right call. I think that's huge going forward because it allows all the guys to play real confident. I agree with you. He had a good game last week. I think he took it upon himself. We struggled in the Chargers game, quite frankly, as a defense, and all of us felt responsible. But I think Hitch, being the leader in the middle of that, took it upon himself to get the rest of the guys ready, and we had a good week of practice and played pretty good game.
So it's the vertical challenge, huh?
Sorry, I'm in the same boat. We're ready when you are, Coach.
All right, good afternoon. How are you guys doing? Hope all is well. Coming off a big week after a Monday night game, short week of preparation. I thought our guys handled the game and the environment the right way this past week. Now it's time to make sure that we regroup, finish up this week strong with practice, and making sure that we're going in with the right attitude and the right determined mindset this week here at home against the Patriots to find a way to come away victorious. Other than that, I'm all ears.
Start with Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Eric. When you look at the touchdown that Pat threw to McCall Hardman the other day, and then you go back to L.A. and the touchdown he threw to Tyreek, I mean, certainly he really didn't have a chance to set his feet on either one. He was moving on the one, and he kind of threw off his back foot to McCall. So my question for you is, what do you feel like is more unusual in Pat's ability? His ability his accuracy on plays like that, or just the strong arm, his ability to merely get the ball down the field that far when he can't really step into it?
I think it's a combination of both. I mean, this kid, and you guys have been out there at practice, he does all kind of different things during practice. Not that he's working on that stuff. It's just that he's accustomed to do it. And it's nothing like preparation. And like I tell our guys all the time, as long as we're playing fast and we're playing hard, good things will happen. So when Pat is scrambling around trying to make plays on his feet, those type of things are going to happen as long as our guys are staying active and staying alive. And so with that arm and with his athletic ability, the ball can be thrown from any platform. He's shown that. He's proven that. Hell, he threw a pass with his left hand a couple of years back.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Coach, good afternoon. I asked Patrick this, and I was curious your take on it. I know that all defensive coaches try to do this, but Bill Belichick especially just tries to find things that you haven't seen on film before. How do you specifically go about trying to figure out what he could possibly do when there really isn't any example of it?
Well, I mean, just like he's doing and we're doing the same thing, you try and study tendencies. But knowing and playing against the New England Patriots long enough, you always go into the game plan expecting the unexpected. So we want to make sure that our guys have that mindset and understand that, hey, everything that we're practicing against this week, he may flip it. So we just need to be prepared. But we want to make sure that we're giving our guys all the different looks, all the variety of fronts that they need to see, just to make sure that they're prepared to go against something. And then when it's all said and done with, it's about us going out and executing and doing what we do best and applying our rules. That's what's going to allow us to come away with a victory this weekend.
Let's go next to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
Coach, a couple things real quick. First of all, the short week, are you surprised that, I think if Tom Brady were still with the Patriots, they would have never given you the Patriots on a short week, right? They would have said, we want both these teams to have the full week. So first of all, are you surprised that you are having to turn around with as difficult as they are to prepare for and get them on a short week? And then if you could after that, or I can wait and ask the follow-up if you want to answer it.
Okay. Well, first of all, Seren, not surprised at all. This season has kind of been that type of year. It's 2020. So
Okay.
getting everything thrown our way. But you know what? I'll say this. Our guys have always allowed themselves to remain flexible. I think that's what makes us a heck of a staff. Coach Reed preaches that. He wants us to remain flexible. I mean, hell, if he had to deal with the scheduling that we had to go through training camp to make all the necessary adjustments, our guys are built for this. So you go out and you play on the Monday, then you got to come back and play a great New England Patriots team on a Sunday. So our guys understand that, hey, if you want to be great, you got to make sure that you have the ability, okay, to remain flexible but also understanding that you can go play great on Monday, but you still got to line up and play great on Sunday. So our guys will be okay.
And the other side of I was curious about is how much of, I know you have things you want to get to, right? And you're setting things up early, you're setting things up in other games that you want to, run the counter or whatever it is as you go along. But how important is it on that first drive, particularly when your defense has to be on the field? I'm curious, do you pull a little extra out to stay on the field, to give the coach, you talked about, all the guys have talked about all the adjustments you make. You got to have time to do that, right? To see what the new stuff is. How important is that first drive after your defense got their first look to stay on the field, even if you don't get points, just to give them time to get to work on what they want to change?
Well, Seren, I'll say this, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant or anything. That first drive, we always want to go out and score. I don't care if it's a 15-play drive or a one-play drive. We want to make sure that we go out there and establish our identity and who we are and what we're going to be about today. You never want to go out there and go 3 and out and put the defense back out there. So it's about going out there, playing assignment sound football, executing, playing fast, and playing for each other. But when it's all said and done with, we want to find a way to come away with points. And so selfishly, that's our mindset, that's our attitude, and that's the type of style of play that we want our guys to understand and embrace. And so when we do that, great things have a tendency to happen. But I know we've had a slow start every now and then, but we need to continue making sure that we can get off to a fast start.
Let's go next to Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, good afternoon. In recent years, we've had Wasp, we've had Hungry Pig Right. So the big question is, what was the name of Eric Fisher's play?
What do we call that one? Oh, man, what do we call it? It was the fish. That's a damn shame. I can't even think of the name of it. But it was a hell of a play. I'm not going to even tell you the formation in which we called it, but it was one of our throwbacks. And Fish, I mean, we've been working this play now for a while, and it's a shame I can't think of the name of the damn play. But he did a great job of executing. He did a great job of setting that guy up and then displacing him and putting himself in position to have success to catch it. I knew once it was thrown, he got rid of that guy, I knew he was going to make that catch, and I was happy to see him make that play. That was a great moment.
We've got time for a couple more guys. We'll go Nate Taylor and then Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Eric, I have a fun question off of Herbie's. Because of such plays that you guys ran on Monday night, what, from a percentage standpoint, are those type of plays still left in the playbook? If the playbook is thick, how much did you actually get to those type of plays in Monday night, and how much is still available?
But we keep plenty available. We keep plenty. And I'll say this, and it's funny because Herbie asked me that question, and I know everybody talked about the screen as well that Sherm caught. And that play was named Smoke Sausage. So because we call Sherm the sausage, so it was smoked sausage. So that's why I can't think of the damn name of Fish's play. But we still, one thing I will say, we have a very, very creative group of people in this building that can come up with a variety of names, and we keep it fun. And you know what? The guys embrace it. They make it fun as well, because when you give them those particular plays, they take ownership in it and they want it to work. And so, like I said, we'll keep the flexibility going with these particular plays, and just to let you know, Nate, there's plenty left.
We'll go last to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach, I'm glad you told us the name of the Sherman play, because that's actually, I wanted to ask you about smoked sausage there. What's kind of the evolution of doing that? Because it's kind of an offshoot of, the shovel plays that you guys have run that teams look for. I mean, we can even hear them shouting at the line on plays, watch the shovel. And with Patrick, with the underhand throw, is that planned, or is that one of his flourishes?
You know what? I think Pat just threw it underhand just because I couldn't tell you exactly how he threw it at that particular moment. I didn't realize that he had threw it underhand until I saw it on tape. But it was just a play that we have been working on now for about a year or so, and it just happened to time up. It was the perfect defense, the perfect scheme, and it happened to work. I will say this, the guys, they did a great job of executing, and it started up front with the O-line.
I was curious about Demarcus Robinson. He's on the field for a lot of the snap percentage. He doesn't always see a ton of the targets. Just wondering what he does well for you guys to have so much trust in what he's able to do.
Demarcus has done a great job of understanding the offense, all the positions that we're able to put each and every guy in. He's one of the guys that we could just throw in at any position and knows and understands the concept. It's only one ball out there, and the productivity hasn't been there for him. But as a team, we've been successful, and that's what the guys are all about, especially in the receiver room. But I think overall, it's a team mentality. If one guy is doing positive, then we all doing positive, and that's the way we approach it.
Let's go next to Robert Rimson. Go ahead, Robert.
Hey, Coach. So this year, Tyreek has done a lot of high point catching, especially early on this season. Was that something he was focused on during the offseason, just improving his high point ability?
I think Tyreek did a great job this offseason of taking the Zoom calls and taking the information that we did throughout the whole offseason and taking some of that input from myself and other players and coaches and utilizing that on his own, on his off time. When we got back and were able to do training camp and things like that, we focused on some of those things, but it wasn't specifically for Tyreek. It was more group-oriented, and he's taking advantage of those opportunities when presented.
Let's go next to Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon. Good to see you. Every wide receiver wants the ball, and you've got a collection of receivers who can all probably arguably be a number one guy on so many other teams around the NFL. How do you manage all the personalities and that desire to always want the ball?
Well, like you said, all receivers want to be the guy and they want the ball, and we do a good job of being team-oriented. But the one thing that I feel that Coach Reed does a great job of, and EB, and it trickles down to myself, is allow people to be who they are. Let their personality show and be themselves so they're comfortable. You may not get the ball, but as long as you're comfortable doing what we're asking you to do, when your time comes, you're ready to answer the bell. And I think guys have shown that throughout my time here, and I expect to continue doing that.
Go next to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
Coach, I'm just curious, on a scale of 1 to 10, how you would rate Eric Fisher's route, everything he put into it, what kind of grades you'd give him?
A 72. I think that's he did a great job of faking the guy out, making him think he was going to block him, and then slipping out there, and then made a great catch. I mean, he high pointed the ball like Tyreek has been doing. Tyreek probably talked to him about how to get that done, but he got in there, and I was excited for him, just like everybody else.
We've got time for a few more guys. We'll go right down the line. Nate, Adam, and then Adam. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Eric, I remember last year you saying that one of the ways you got to see Tyreek's leadership was through him being injured in the film room and obviously on the sideline talking to other receivers. I just wonder, where do you see his leadership and his maturity grow in maybe the same aspect or different aspects this season?
I think he's just taking advantage of every opportunity that's given to him, whether it's on the field, in the classroom, getting with guys away from here, just talking football with younger guys that we have here, the Jodys, the Pringles, guys of that nature, and just bringing them along, as well as getting the coaching from myself, Coach Reed, EB, and the rest of the guys. But Tyreek has been tremendous in the classroom, and it's shown on the field.
Go next to Adam O. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Coach, just how important is it for the scramble drills that you guys practice? Obviously, there's broken plays, and Patrick's always moving around the field. How important is it for your receivers to continue to find grass and find those open spots for Patrick to find those windows to get guys open?
Well, it's not that hard for the group of guys that we have here because, like you said at the beginning, or someone said at the beginning, all receivers want the ball. So when Pat starts running around, everybody is running to get to an open spot so they could be that guy that gets that opportunity to make a play for us. But it's something that we practice throughout training camp and throughout the season and talk about on a regular basis because we know Pat can move around and do some things, and we just try to be all on one accord with what we're doing.
We'll go last to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Greg, as you know, players seem to really enjoy and appreciate playing for Andy Reid. And as a guy who once played for Andy Reid, what did you enjoy playing? Speaking not as a coach, but as a player, what did you enjoy playing? What did you enjoy playing? What did you enjoy playing about playing for him?
Yeah, Well, the thing I enjoy most is Coach Reed puts guys in position to be successful and do what they do well rather than trying to fit everybody into a box. So he gives you opportunities. If your strength is speed, he puts you in position to utilize your speed. If your strength is blocking or doing something of that nature, he puts you in those positions rather than trying to fit you into a box of something that you're not. And he's able to mesh all those different types of skill sets together so seamlessly. And it was great playing for him, and it's great being on the other side now to see how he does all that and get a feel for that as you move forward in this profession.
Chris Jones was able to strip the ball from Lamar Jackson a couple times the other night. Was just wondering, was this just a case of him taking advantage of what was in front of him? Or is there been any kind of emphasis for him that this is the next frontier for him, if you will?
Well, I think he did a great job of taking advantage of the opportunities he had. The one play was a really nice play in terms of pursuit and being relentless as Lamar was scrambling, and I thought a pretty aware play on that one to get the ball out. I thought it was a great play by Mike Dana as well, trying to bat the ball back in as it was on the sideline. Unfortunately, we didn't come up with it, but really great play on both counts. I thought the second one in the 2-minute drill was a perfect execution of something we work at a ton in terms of securing the quarterback with the inside arm at the hip and then coming wide and outside for the strip. And, we do a lot of drill work on that. It comes up occasionally, but he executed it to perfection on that particular snap. So just a good job of working stuff that we try to work in practice each day.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Good afternoon, Coach. I know we've asked you about these guys a few times, but they're in their first year. So just curious about Wharton, and then you mentioned him, Dana, and now what you've seen in these first couple games.
Well, I continue to be impressed and encouraged by them. They work hard. They have continued to improve, each day. They have very slowly, I would say, added to their role, if you will. Some versatility. You can see them growing in terms of confidence in their knowledge and their understanding of what we're asking them to do. So it's still very encouraging and fun to watch, and I hope that continues to go in that direction. These two guys, I think, have got a chance to help us.
We've got 3 hands up. We'll go Sam, Sarin, and then Robert to close us out. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Coach. Wanted to ask you a little bit about Frank Clark. I mean, obviously a guy that plays that position gets judged a lot based on sack numbers, but how would you just evaluate his willingness and execution of the other plays, the ones that don't have him chasing down the quarterback?
Yeah, he's done a nice job for us in a number of areas that you don't necessarily measure in the stat sheet. He did a really nice job through the course of last week in terms of technique and the discipline that we needed to play, the run game that Baltimore presents you with. New England's got a number of those issues as well that we're going to have to do a good job with again this week. He's been really good in terms of some of the scheme things that we've done, some of the different calls that we've given him to execute. Done a nice job learning those, getting the communication on the field, having a little bit of versatility to what we're asking him to do, which I think has helped us as a defense. So I give him a lot of credit there.
Let's go next to Sarin Petro.
Coach, the big play, the fun play, right, was Eric Fisher catching the ball in the game. The guys talked on the offensive side about, working that a few times. I finally got from Fisher that they ran it about 3 times in practice. What I'm curious is, how do you guys do that as a coaching staff? Does Coach Reed say, hey, this is coming up? Or is it, you have no idea what's going on over on the defensive side, so it's a genuine reaction, and you guys are actually getting a chance to kind of practice against some of the misdirection stuff that Andy Reid, the offensive side, so good at calling up?
In terms of practice, there's a couple of different ways that comes up. There's, certain points of the year and certain periods where, it's offense versus defense. It's a competitive situation. Neither side knows what's coming. There's also periods in practice, specifically as you get into game plan, where one side is servicing the other. And so, there's a card presented or a particular look that's presented, and, the offense, determines kind of what they want that to look like if it's their emphasis, and vice versa on the defensive side. So there's a couple of different ways there. I think it's good experience. I like to sit and practice and watch our offense run things. And there's certain things that come up, and I look at, and I've got guys next to me and say, well, if they did that to us, we would have to do this, or that would trigger the defensive end to have to take that, or whatever the case may be. Just good football conversation going on through the course of practice. But it is fun to watch them in practice and see what they're working on.
And did it work? Was there a time that they ran it on you didn't know it was coming in, and did it work against you guys?
I think that when I believe they've run it mainly on service periods where, they had the look, and defensively we weren't necessarily coaching that play up the way we would. That play, though, in particular, it's important from a defensive standpoint. Anytime teams go tackle over or bring an extra offensive lineman in the game or change who's eligible in those situations, it makes it difficult defensively. And the critical thing is to get the communication from the officials of actually which jersey number is the eligible guy. Is it the new guy coming in? Is it somebody that was already in the game? Like, it can be confusing and difficult to adjust to at times, which is why offenses do it.
Go last to Robert Rimson. Go ahead, Robert.
Hey, Coach. So it was Mike Pinnell's first game back. What did you see from him? What good did you see, and what are some things he can continue to work on headed into New England?
Mike did a nice job for us. He came back through the course of the week. I was really impressed with how he handled the time off. Physically, he was in good shape, brought a lot of energy to practice. It was great to have him out there. I thought that carried over into the game on the sideline. He was very engaged. He was dialed in. He gave us something from an attitude standpoint. I thought he did a really nice job, particularly in the downhill run game, playing the double teams that Baltimore gave us. He'll continue to develop and increase his role. Some of the flat zone schemes, I think he'd tell you there's a couple of those that he could play a little bit better. But I was really pleased with what we got out of him, and I think he's going to continue to contribute in a positive way for us.
Yourself, Herb, how are you?
Hey, I'm well, thanks. Hey, the Patriots this year, percentage-wise, are running a lot more out of 11 personnel when compared to last year. How important is it for your defensive backs to be aware of not just the wide receivers, but also that mobile Cam Newton and that running game?
Yeah, once again, Coach Spags is going to rely on the defensive backs, to really handle a lot of those adjustments, being able to stop Cam. Tom Brady, you didn't really have to worry about him moving a lot. You just have to worry about his accuracy and understanding of the offense and delivering the ball downfield. But, this week is going to be similar as last week against Lamar Jackson. Cam, he still has the instincts to be able to run and get up and down the football field and move the chains. That's what the Patriots like to do.
Next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
You'll get Bashad back next week, and I was just curious what you're thinking he's going to bring to the table, and where do you think that he is as far as physically being able to be ready, and can he get right back into the mix for you guys?
Yeah, Pete. When you look at Breland over the last couple of weeks, I've been following him on his social media, watching him throughout the course of his workouts and doing everything, and he looks physically fit and ready to go. Before he left, he was in really good shape and understanding of the defense because this will be his second year into it. So, bringing that physicality back. He's a big corner. He loves to hit. The same as Ward. These guys, they love to tackle. But, he had his best game, his last game of his season. That was in the Super Bowl. So, hopefully he'll be able to pick up right where he left off, and he'll give Coach Spags another weapon, to be able to put out there and play man-to-man and be able to limit some of these big runs of the teams that we're about to get ready to play coming up.
Let's go next to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Sam.
What are your thoughts on just the way your cornerback room has handled the injuries that you've had this year, the absences with Breland, and what was just the reaction in the room to L'Jarius going down for a while here?
Well, one of our sayings in the room, Sam, is stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And, throughout the training camp, we put a lot of these guys in a lot of different situations for us, playing the nickel back position, playing corner. Coach Spags' defense, sometimes, they have to go back and play safety, different things of that nature. So, we put them through a lot of different things, and they answered the bell. Rashad, he stepped up, as soon as Ward went down a couple of weeks ago, and then he's been playing phenomenal. And then once again, Snead goes down, and Ward was able to step right in and didn't miss a beat. He didn't hesitate going out there, even with his hand situation, and he feels a whole lot better this week. So,
and then, it's always the next man up. But we've thrown a lot of different things at these guys, and, they just respond. And now we'll be getting Breland back next week. Hopefully we can get through this game and, come out victorious. But yet still, they know that they're going to be relied on a lot, to play man-to-man and play the different zones and all the different things that we do. And, they're up to the challenge. So that's the one great thing. They never back down from a challenge.
All right, guys, we got time for a couple more. We're going to go Greg and then Nate. Go ahead, Greg.
Hello, Coach. How are you? I'm wondering, because from your playing days, you had your belly full of preparing for the Patriots when Tom Brady was in his prime there, and also when you were with the Giants in the Super Bowl. When your unit is on the practice field against Patrick, I'm wondering how many flashbacks do you have as they prepare Patrick's ability to pick apart a defense? Do the flashbacks run through your mind of what you went through as a player as you see what he's able to do now?
Yeah, one of the things that I really try to rely on is, trying to see plays and then try to anticipate what's going to happen next. And, sometimes, I'll tell them, hey, just make sure that you pay attention to this, because they're going to see that the way we're playing this. And then all of a sudden it comes up and he's like, Coach, you told me this. So, just being able to anticipate and hopefully they'll be able to grasp those concepts that we're talking to them and telling them about, and then being able to apply it in a game situation. We tell them, Coach Merritt tells them all the time, we're not going to be on the field, to help you through those plays. You have to decipher them yourself. And, they're doing a really good job of doing that and picking up the nuggets that we're throwing out. But, Tyron is out there. He really helps a lot of these guys out a lot. And now the younger guys are picking up the instincts and the same similarities that he's been displaying over the last year or so. So it's just really fun to be able to sit back and watch these guys understand, how Coach Spags, Coach Merritt is implementing the defense and understanding of how we're trying to attack and people are trying to attack us, and going out there and making it all work and put it all together.
We'll go last to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Sam, you kind of mentioned what I wanted to ask you about, and it's the idea that corner is one of the hardest positions to play in the league, but you guys have so many reliable safeties. I just wonder how much of the safeties led to the play that you've received so far from the cornerback position.
Yeah, because we have another corner just playing safety, in Tyron. So, it's just really fun just to be able to put him in different positions and being able to, have that hybrid type player. And I'm glad you recognize that. The cornerback is one of the toughest on the football field. But, it's just really good to be able to watch Tyron with the younger players and being able to, back the things that Coach Merritt and myself that we're telling the young guys. And then when they're on the field, he's relaying all of those different things that we're talking about. So, it's just really good, that these guys are able to pick up the things, and Veach and his crew has done a very good job of bringing us some guys in here to help them, help us, make this defense as strong as possible. But, things happen. You look around the landscape of the league right now, there's a lot of guys going down, and, we're just picking up the pieces when they do fall. But we're going to rely on these corners. Coach Spag is not going to change his defensive concept. He's going to put these guys in positions to challenge themselves, but they're up for the challenge. And, that is our job, Coach Merritt and myself, to get these guys prepared. And, we're doing a really good job, and they're doing a really good job of going out there and applying the things that Coach Spags is really throwing out and presenting to them.
Anthony, I don't know how much you've seen about what's going on today around the league, but the Raiders, there's a story out about how they went to. I know you guys do a lot of charity work, and I don't know how much COVID has derailed some of that great work that you guys do. But they went to a charity event, trying to raise money. I think it was Darren Waller's event, but the guys didn't have masks on, and the video went viral, and they're now being talked to by the league. And of course, we've got what's going on with the Tennessee Titans. I'm just curious where you guys are right now on the COVID, and it seems like maybe there's a couple other teams have let down. Like, is that work as a reminder? And have you guys been talking about what's going on with these other teams?
Oh yeah, we talk every week about it, and the importance of wearing your mask and washing your hands and being safe. So I think we're taking it just as serious as we did when we first reported here for camp. It's a very serious matter in our world today. And, as a team and me as individuals, taking it very serious.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Anthony, you're often referred to as a leader of this team, and they drafted Willie Gay at your position, so I'm sure you've taken him under your wing. What have you seen through these first 3 weeks, and how is he progressing?
Yeah, he's getting better every week. He's learning more and more. Unfortunately, we didn't have OTAs, and everything was virtual through like WebEx meetings, and it's hard to learn that way and try to translate it, directly to the field. So he's learning every week. Got him playing a couple positions, so he's learning, and he's learning how to be a pro, and and then study and get a game plan for himself each week.
Let's go next to Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Anthony. The Patriots right now currently ranked first in rushing, and they seem to be doing a lot of it percentage-wise out of 11 personnel. As a linebacker, what's the challenge of playing the run when knowing that you got 3 wide receivers on the field?
Yeah, you just got to change your mindset. They're going to run the ball, and most teams do versus us. They try to keep Pat and the offense off the field. They're trying to, use up the clock and then make it a long, dragged out game. And with this team, especially with the dual threat quarterback and multiple different running backs and receivers that's not scared to block, so that's why they can do it out of 0 personnel, 11 personnel. So, yeah, it's just a different challenge for us this week, and we realize that, and we have things, that's going to help us out.
Looks like we have one more hand up. We'll go Nate Taylor to close us out. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Anthony. It appeared that part of Baltimore's game plan for you guys was to try to run some play action plays to try to get chunk yardage. Maybe you see that this week with the New England Patriots. Just what did you think you guys did correctly on those play action plays to sort of prevent Baltimore from having success? And what is it like as a linebacker when a team wants to put, Patrick on the sideline as much as possible, try to use that as advantage for a play action play?
Yeah, I think Spags did a great job throughout the week putting in the game plan, and we all bought in and listened and studied, and we had a lot of tips, not to throw too many out there, but we had a lot of tips when it was going to be pass versus run and personnel and different people in the game, jersey numbers wise. So we had a pretty good beat. We played them a lot, here in the past couple of years. Seems like at least 2 or 3 times already. So we got a pretty good beat on them, and they got a pretty good beat on us too. And I'm sure we're going to see them again here soon. So just studying and seeing who's on the field and different type of personnel and players. And I think we do a good job throughout the week of picking up on little things like that.